Numbers 30, the law of vows. Then Moses spoke to the leaders of the tribes of Israel, saying, This is a thing which the Lord has commanded. If a man makes a vow to the Lord or swears an oath to bind himself with a pledge, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Isn't that true? When a man makes a vow, when you make a vow to do something, how many times in our life do we make a vow to do something that we said we were going to do? Do you ever make pledges, right? We do that for things in life. It says you may not break it. And if a woman makes a vow to the Lord and binds herself by a pledge while living in her father's household in her youth, and her father hears her vow and her pledge by which she has bound herself, and he offers no objection, then all her vows shall stand, and every pledge by which she has bound herself shall stand. But if her father disapproves, on the day that he hears about it, none of her vows or her pledges by which she has bound herself shall stand, and the Lord will forgive her because her father has disapproved of her making the vow. But if she marries while under her vows, or if she has bound herself by a rash statement, and a rash statement, do we ever say things in rash statements? And her husband hears of it and says nothing about it on the day he hears it, then her vow shall stand, and her pledge by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband disapproves of her making her vow or pledge on that day, then he shall annul her vow under which she is under in the rash statement of her lips by which she bound herself, and the Lord will forgive her. But if the vow of a widow or of a divorced woman, everything by which she has bound herself shall stand against her. However, if she vowed in her husband's house or bound herself by a pledge with an oath, and her husband heard it, but said nothing to her and did not disapprove of her making the vow, then all her vows and every pledge by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband absolutely annuls them on the day he heard them, then whatever proceeds from her lips concerning her vows or concerning her pledge shall not stand. Her husband has annulled them, and her Lord will forgive her. Every vow and every binding oath to humble herself, her husband may confirm it or her husband may annul it. But if her husband says nothing to her, from day to day, then he confirms all her vows or all her pledges which are on her. He has confirmed them because he has said nothing to her on that day he heard them. But if he indeed nullifies them after he hears of them, then he shall be responsible for and bear her guilt for breaking her promise. These are the statutes which the Lord commanded Moses between a man and his wife, and between a father and his daughter, while she is a youth in her father's house. So it talks about widows and divorced women are fully accountable for their vows. Right? And the rest of it, a man has to be a man of his word. It's important to do that. This is your daily Bible chapter reading God's Word Monday through Friday. See you tomorrow.